Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Appalachian Lodge. They call it the Appy Lodge. If you're looking to head to Sevier County and take in all the holiday lights and spectacle this month, head to the Appy Lodge right in Gatlinburg. It's run by the same folks who own Parkside Cabin Rentals. Visit theappylodge.com/TSS, and that's a long thing to remember. Write that down quickly. Just take a photo shot of it with your phone. Theappylodge.com/TSS. You get 10% off your room right there. The Appy Lodge. Let's take a look at the SEC scoreboard. All right, the asterisk is there beside Texas A&M. They won 31-20. They play the Volunteers in a couple of weeks. At least that's the way it's scheduled. Vanderbilt with an asterisk, but they missed their game with Georgia. It was postponed. Georgia's athletic director, Greg McGarity, kind of came out and cried about it. I said before the season I didn't want to hear a bunch of people talking about, well, this isn't fair. It's not going to be fair. It's a pandemic. And if one team has opt-outs, COVID, and injuries, and they don't have 53 players, it is what it is. But you look around there, Missouri, Tennessee, I was talking to somebody yesterday, that might be Tennessee's best win of the year. Well, I guess they only have 2, so yes, it is.
It's definitely the best home win. How about that?
You look at Kentucky taking care of South Carolina. South Carolina makes the hire to go with Shane Beamer, which is a surprising decision. I'm not sure. A lot of people thought they're going to go get Hugh Freeze. Shane Beamer, an interesting hire. Thoughts on what you saw yesterday around the league on Shane Beamer, or anywhere you want to go with it?
Well, I'll go with Texas A&M because Tennessee's supposed to play them. A&M, their defense has really improved since Jimbo Fisher got there. They have struggled on that end of the football. The run defense is pretty solid. And Kellen Mond actually played pretty well against Auburn. Against LSU, he was horrible. At one point, he was like 10 out of 30. But in watching that one, they can run the football well. They're really good up front. They call their offensive linemen the goons. Tennessee's going to have fits stopping that Texas A&M offense. And also they're going to have trouble moving against that defense. But I focused in on that game because I know that, well, Tennessee's supposed to play them.
Well, and if A&M is still in their position when Tennessee gets them in 2 weeks, and they're not in the SEC championship game, they're not going to be, that they might not do what Dan Mullen did yesterday. They might not be cleaning up anything. They may be putting up points for the sake of trying to angle their way into a playoff. So you might not get lucky with cleanup time, as Dan Mullen called it yesterday.
And Will's talked about scoring. I mean, you look at that scoreboard. You had all of the winning teams scored at least 31 points yesterday. So that's pretty much where you are now. Missouri, boy, they moved up third in this division.
First-year offensive coach.
First year, and they trailed by 14 points in the fourth quarter. That was a wild game. Mm-hmm. And to come back and win that one, and of course I know a lot of us were watching Alabama last night. Who can stop Alabama? They had 35 points against LSU and had not had a third down, and it's midway through the first half.
Missouri playing a freshman quarterback?
Yes.
They didn't play against us, and you kind of wonder, that's the difference, right? If we could be looking at one win this year because of that. I mean, it's hard to look around and say, wow, you know, even if the quarterback, we saw maybe some lights of hope of, you know, guys improving, but when you look at another freshman quarterback like that Missouri guy, you also go, wow, well, I didn't see that either. So it's out there for us that there's a lot of things that, you know, you look around the SEC and you get less hopeful, I guess, and that's been the biggest problem as you look at these other games. You don't see out there where's our path.
Do we think that there's going to be a game this week? I mean, Vanderbilt's athletic director, once Greg McGarity came out and cried at Georgia, she shot back and said, basically, we're getting ready for Tennessee and we'll see you in 2 weeks. That I'm as competitive as anybody, but I'm going to put my student athletes, the health of the student athletes first. Good for her. Do you think Vandy doesn't play against Tennessee?
I'm more optimistic that they will. And here's why. The SEC athletic directors voted on Thursday to follow the CDC guidelines, which limits the amount of time you got to be in quarantine. It's not 14 days. It's either 7 to 10. And the majority of these cases, as we know, it's not because you had the virus. It's because it was contact tracing. That's what's caught a lot of teams. So if you reduce the number of time you've got to be in quarantine, then I think Vanderbilt will have more players available. Therefore, I think they will play the game.
There are a lot of people who seem to think that Vanderbilt's going to try and duck this game and chicken out of it. Why would Vanderbilt be looking to duck? If I'm Vanderbilt, I'm looking at it saying Tennessee's beatable. And they've been 500 against Tennessee over the last 15 years, basically.
Yeah, you're 0-8.
So I don't see that as, that seems to be sort of the fan view is, well, we won't get to play then, there's an automatic win. I don't see it as an automatic win for Tennessee if they do play.
No, this is not an automatic win because, one, this would be the hardest game to look at because which team actually shows up to play and cares about it. That's going to be your first thing, not who's got more talent or not more talent. And then the other thing is, like I said, we're in a team that cannot score more than 20 points on air. And so Vanderbilt's all they got to do is get to 24, and you're in a dogfight. I mean, if they can score a few points, and you've seen some things, they're going to look at the Florida tape and go, get a guy on the linebacker, throw him the ball, throw some slants, run it up inside. Can they stop us this week? That's what they're going to look at.
And
Say,
they've
can
got
they
a
get
quarterback
21
who
points
set-
doing
They
that?
kind of
They've got a quarterback who set Vandy records, season records this year for passing yards.
the wild card with Vandy isn't just COVID. You've got the opt-outs and you've got the injuries, and they have to get to 53 scholarship players, and that's going to be close either way.
All right, when we come back, did you have something else? Did I hear okay. When we come back, let's talk about who should start at quarterback. Let's assume there is a game. Who should start at quarterback? Who will start at quarterback? I'll pull the wheel of quarterbacks back out. We'll see. Come on back.